Hi, my name is Jody. I'm in Com 168, Communications and Organizations, and this is my video presentation for my news summary about good leaders, or an example of some good leaders in organizations and how organizations survive. So when I was starting to look at this news summary, I really was just trying to look for best leader or most effective leader. I also was looking for worst leader or inefficient leader. And there were some here and there, but none of them really jumped off the page that were like the best leader. So when I was looking around, I came across Fortune's 50 greatest leaders, and these included anybody from, Congress people to Taylor Swift, or the 17-year-old who led demonstrations last year that caused a social change in the East. And so a couple people that I was looking at, because I wanted to focus on organizations or companies, I found two. One of which is going to be Mary Barra. I don't know if I'm saying her last name correct, but she's the CEO of General Motors. In January 2014, she came into this position. She was a strong female leader, and not only was she in charge of managing over 200,000 employees and, really maximizing the profits for a company, but she was faced with a very great challenge that even experienced CEOs may find, defeating. And as many people remember, the massive recall that GM had, and this recall was one that included fatalities. And so on top of having, being a new CEO and, getting used to a company, she had to deal with victims' families, being able to address issues with them, the Justice Department, the media, being able to handle all of these different situations and keep a company afloat and still have established that consumer trust. In addition to not only the recall issue, but one of her stakeholders then made a very public demand that GM return its, portions of its cash to its investors. And so, after negotiations and working with her stakeholders, after a massive recall and a company that's struggling, she was able to return $5 billion back to her stakeholders. And so she continues to deliver upon the promises and interests of GM, which was, putting the needs of an organization first. Then another one that I was looking at was the international president of Doctors Without Borders, and that's Joanne Liu. And when the Ebola virus was going on, people were just thinking about the victims of the Ebola virus, it being in the US. But I don't think a lot of thought was given to the Doctors Without Borders and the volunteers that were combating this, fatal virus. Excuse me. And so I was looking more into, and Doctors Without Borders is a very modestly paid organization. They have a skeleton of an office staff, but then all of the doctors and nurses and any other volunteers are completely on a volunteer basis. So when they normally don't combat issues this grand, they were still able to deliver a network of relief and supplies and aid to combat this huge issue. And it's still an issue today. But they were able to do that. And not only was Joanne able to she has no control over employees because it's a volunteer organization, but she was a source of leadership and inspiration to many of the people that were in Doctors Without Borders. And so in addition to not only having, facing this deadly virus, but villagers and locals would often try to attack or kidnap doctors, and that faced a great issue. And so they had minimal disruptions within their network and still able to deliver on the organization's promise and goals. And so when I was looking at this, my concluding thought is that sometimes it isn't the bottom line or the profit that you take home at the end of the day that makes an organization successful, but sometimes it's the success that is developed or the challenges that are met and accomplished despite everything that may be going on. Um, so, not all the times is it going to be about increasing the profit line. Yes, it's important, but sometimes it's about making it through those challenges, being able to keep a company intact and keep organizations running and fulfilling their promises.